Hello, everyone. My name is Ndukwe, and I'm super excited to talk with you all about AI. It's so inspiring to see so many of you interested in hearing women's voices across different professions and industries. And as a developer advocate and a software engineer, I'm just excited about the future of AI, to be honest. And I want to talk to you about something fundamental to that future: digital sovereignty in the age of AI, and the crucial role that open source large language models, also known as LLMs, play in achieving it. So let's think about like ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude. We're living in incredible times right now where we're able to leverage these tools that were built on top of LLMs in order for us to improve some type of productivity, maybe with professional work, or to inspire some more creative efforts and endeavors. There are many different ways that we're using these tools, and they have been made accessible to many of us, and that's very exciting, and that's a proof of innovation that's happening in not just the entire AI ecosystem, right, but generative AI in particular for society. But let's paint a picture. Imagine a future where the very tools that we use to innovate, to create, even to understand the world, are controlled by a select few powerful entities. They dictate not just what we can build, but how we think, which is a little alarming. And this isn't a dystopian fantasy. It's a reality taking shape right now as proprietary AI models become the gatekeepers of innovation. This brings us to a critical concept: digital sovereignty, the ability of individuals, organizations, and nations to maintain control over their digital destiny. And so think about it. As AI becomes increasingly essential to our lives and economies, are we inadvertently surrendering more and more control? This is the sovereignty paradox that we are experiencing right now. But there's a powerful counter-narrative emerging, a solution that puts the power back into our hands, and that is democratizing AI through open source LLMs. So why is this concentration of power a problem? Relying heavily on proprietary or commercial LLMs, while it's seemingly convenient, it carries significant risks. Firstly, we face a lack of model control and limited availability for customization. If you want to tailor a model to your specific needs or data, you're often constrained by the vendor's offerings and roadmap. Secondly, costs can become prohibitive and unpredictable, especially as your AI applications scale. The per-token pricing models of many proprietary APIs can quickly escalate, and that hinders innovation for smaller players, as well as transparency and often severely limited. It's often severely limited, which is a very crucial component here. When we're talking about transparency, we have little to no insight into the training data, the model architecture, or the decision-making processes of these black box systems. So this makes it incredibly difficult to understand potential biases and limitations, or even security vulnerabilities. This lack of transparency is part of what fuels concerns about bias and fairness. And as these models, they can perpetuate essentially and amplify existing societal inequalities that are present in their training data. Entrusting sensitive data to proprietary systems definitely raises significant privacy and data security concerns. And this is where open source LLMs can offer a very compelling alternative. And it's not just an alternative, you don't have to think about it that way, but think about it as democratizing AI, and think about open source as a foundation of a sustainable AI future. But let's think about how would open source tackle, or how does open source tackle the digital sovereignty problem? Transparency is inherent, You have full visibility into the model architecture and the training process. This allows for scrutiny, understanding, and the identification of potential issues like bias. Control is also paramount here. Open source grants you the freedom to modify, deploy, and adapt the models without seeking permission. You can fine-tune them on your own data and tailor them precisely to meet your specific needs. Resilience is also built in. There's no single point of failure or control. The distributed nature of open source projects can ensure continuity and reduces reliance on a single vendor. And community, it's about community and fueling innovation. Open source LLMs benefit from distributed expertise and shared responsibility. Developers, researchers, and enthusiasts from around the globe can collaborate, and this accelerates the advancements and brings diverse perspectives to the table. That collaborative spirit, it's a powerful engine for progress. There's also accessibility and democratization as like core principles here. Open source makes advanced AI technologies available to a broader audience, including smaller businesses, researchers, and individuals. This is about lowering the barrier to entry to be able to leverage open source LLMs to do good. And furthermore, open source options offer significant cost savings compared to proprietary APIs, which is something very critical that ties into the lowering of the barrier of entry for everyone to be able to benefit from such an incredible innovation in this space. The increasing availability of open source LLMs and related tools, this all aligns with the concept of democratizing innovation. This allows more people and organizations, like mentioned before, to contribute to and benefit from the advancements in this technology. However, building secure and resilient open source LLMs do require addressing some technical challenges, and I want to get into that and give some examples of that, like efficient hardware requirements so that models can run on accessible devices, not just in data centers. That's something to think about. How are you able to, what are the technical challenges in order to make LLMs, the use and the building and contributing of them, how do you make that easier to use and contribute to for the everyday person? Modular, independently verifiable components to enable trust through transparency. What about clear documentation standards, right, to lower barriers for contributors? How do we make that more accessible and make it easier for people to contribute? Well, documentation in this case would really matter here. And there's also rigorous performance benchmarks to demonstrate the viability of these LLMs compared to proprietary models. And security here is the foundation that everything else depends on. And we keep going back to this topic, right? When you look at it from the security perspective and privacy, local deployment of models on your own hardware is important for sensitive data. Auditing approaches like supply chain verification and security reviews, these are all crucial as well. Privacy-preserving techniques like federated learning and differential privacy help protect data. And there's also robust validation of training data sources. That is key to mitigating data poisoning attacks. Without proper security measures, the growth, the efficacy, and the sustainability of open source LLMs just become a lot more challenging. And so we have to think about how every step of the supply chain and the development process and distribution of open source LLMs, what are the areas where there could be vulnerabilities, and how do we ensure that we are addressing that so that we're making open source LLMs something that is safe to use and effective as well. Building secure and resilient open source LLMs, they also require addressing the ethical AI side of things. In the previous slides, we were talking more about the technical challenges, but what about more of the ethical concerns that we briefly touched upon before this? So we have to focus on mitigating biases that might be present in the training data, which, as we mentioned, ensuring fairness and inclusivity in these models. And we also have to think about preventing misuse, right? The generation of harmful content or the exploitation of vulnerabilities, like jailbreaking. These are continuous efforts based on research, that are things that people are really working on to ensure that people won't use or LLMs can't be used for the creation of harmful things, and that also includes the bias that was mentioned before. There's data privacy and security in open environments. This requires very careful consideration and the development of best practices. And it's important to really focus on that so that we can have very high standards for ethical, responsible, and trustworthy AI. We've seen a rise of powerful open source models and communities like Mistral, IBM's Granite models, and Luther AI, and many more in achieving competitive results through different techniques, and one of them being instruction tuning. These are not just academic curiosities here, these are viable alternatives for real world applications. And we can take a look at the Bloom ecosystem. This is a great example of community-led multilingualism outperforming some corporate efforts even. It supports over 46 languages and 13 programming languages, and it showcases the power of open collaboration. We have Mistral AI, which offers free models with accessible weights under the Apache 2.0 license. So by releasing open weight models, Mistral AI contributes some very valuable resources to the research community, and that fosters more innovation and development in the field when you think about it from a research perspective. And there are countries that are investing in open source AI as national infrastructure. And this ensures technological independence and data sovereignty, really. And this is all based off of some, research that we're seeing in the academic space and industry. And these are really good examples that demonstrate transformative potential, the transformative potential of open source language models and the benefits of decentralized innovation. And so this is where community governance becomes absolutely vital. As we explored in the previous slides, effective community governance really involves defining clear governance models for decision-making and conflict resolution, right? We need to implement thoughtful licensing approaches that balance openness and responsible use, establishing distributed oversight mechanisms to prevent centralized control, developing standards and certification in order to build trust. We need to think about actively fostering community contributions in all areas, from code to ethics, addressing the free rider problem to ensure sustainability, prioritizing transparency and accountability in all aspects of a project. Implementing codes of conduct here is important too. This helps to foster inclusive and respectful environments, and creating platforms for open discussions and consensus building. So it really is about clearly defining roles and responsibilities within the community. The future of AI isn't predetermined. I believe it's something that we can collectively choose to build, right? And open source is the best path, or one of the best paths, to an AI future that really reflects our shared values and really helps to preserve our digital sovereignty. So it's important to think about what can each of us do to contribute. When we think about developers, right, for developers, getting involved, contributing to open source LLM projects and any open source projects that help to build the very tools that the open source LLM projects would leverage. Your skills in coding and testing and ethical evaluation, this is invaluable here. For organizations, adopt and support open source AI infrastructure, right? Explore these technologies, how these technologies can empower your work while contributing to a more open ecosystem. For policymakers, create frameworks that prioritize open source AI development, right? This is about supporting initiatives that foster transparency, accessibility, and responsible innovation in AI. And for everyone, demanding transparency and control in the AI systems that you use. It's super important that we are asking questions, that we are supporting organizations that prioritize openness and advocate for policies that favor open source AI. Even educating yourself and raising awareness among your peers is a very powerful act. We stand at a pivotal moment in the evolution of AI. The choices that we make now will determine whether AI becomes a force for centralized control or a catalyst for distributed innovation and empowerment. Open source LLMs offer a powerful pathway to democratize this transformative technology, ensuring greater transparency, control, and ultimately digital sovereignty for all. The code here matters, of course, but as we've seen, the community around it matters even more, and it can. But we have to work together to foster this vibrant, responsible, and sovereign AI future. And that can happen when it's built on the principles of openness and collaboration. Thank you so much. I am very excited, as you can see, about the future of this technology, and I hope that you all are inspired to find ways to get involved and to champion the use and the development of open source LLMs, and to not just be an observer of what's happening in the AI space, but to be a participant, a contributor in any way that you can, so that you can take control in shaping the future of this incredible technology in the time that we are in. Once again, my name is Nnenna Ndukwe, and thank you so much for listening.